Awesome. So, hello everybody. My name is Sierra Trask. I'm the Small Business Specialist of the Columbia Economic Team. Welcome to today's class on AI for small business. This class has been in the hopper for like 6 months, and Chrissy's been like every one of those months getting really excited. And she's like, "We gotta do it. We gotta do it." So this is a lot of love and effort has gone in this class, and I will just let you know that it's going to be really fast paced. But if there's any point that you want to slow down and ask questions, do not hesitate to put a question in the chat or use the raise hand feature, and I'll be monitoring the chat, and Chrissy will keep an eye out for those raise hands. So yeah, next slide. So this is made possible by the Small Business Resource Center. And you may notice that there's now an R instead of a D. We used to be the Small Business Development Center. And what that really means is it's mostly a brand change, but where the Small Business Development Center is part of a statewide network, they're right now moving towards regional models. So our region was getting absorbed into CLATSUP, but we felt it was really important to still have a localized center just to Columbia County. So we decided to, keep our independent center here, and we're still doing the same services, which are the next slide. Free confidential business advising, free and ticketed business classes. So this is part of our free monthly business class series, Munch and Learn series, and then resource connection, or we'll connect you to any resource that you're trying to look for. We'll probably know it or know the person to point you to it. So we're excited for this new chapter. Next slide. The Small Business Resource Center is also a program of the Columbia Economic Team, which promotes the retention, expansion, growth, and attraction of business and industry here in the county. We have 4 programs under that umbrella, like the SBRC, the Keep It Local Columbia County program, Grow Greater. If you consider yourself an entrepreneur looking to grow, there's some great resources there. And then we are also the tourism destination management organization of the county. So we have a lot of things under one hat, but ultimately the takeaway here is that if you're looking for resources to help your business, we're happy to support you. So without further ado, I'm going to hand the mic over to Chrissy, and we're going to get the show on the road. Oh, yes. Wanted Credit Union, not going to miss this. But Wanted Credit Union is the sponsor of this class, so they make the food possible when we do the in-person option for free, and this whole class series is free because of them. And so we really appreciate their ethos of wanting to give back. Not only do they appreciate doing free financial budgeting classes and finances classes for folks, but this series is like part of their ethos of wanting to educate the community and uplift everyone. So we appreciate WANA. Now I'm handing over the mic to Chrissy.
Hello, hello. Can everybody hear me and see me okay? Just do a quick tech check. Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for having me. Again, Sarah mentioned my name is Chrissy Marquardt. I wear many hats. I play multiple roles. My main role is I am the Director of Operations and Engagement for the Columbia Economic Team. And so I really help to keep our boat afloat and make sure that any leaks or plugs that may arise or that are currently there, I'm kind of fixing that. So I do kind of a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, make sure that everything is running. I also am an SBRC instructor and coach, and so I've taught quite a few classes this year for SBDC and now SBRC, and I love teaching. It's a joy and a passion of mine. And as Sarah mentioned, I've been very excited to bring this class to you all. A little bit about me. I have over a decade of experience in digital marketing strategy and small business ownership. I started my first business when I was 18 years old. I moved here from Jamaica, and my first business was selling coffee beans to my fellow college students at University of Portland. And from there, I've evolved to go on to many other different types of businesses. But I've had my own virtual assistant business, my own web design business. I'm self-taught in graphic design and web design. I run my own coaching business. And I'm the former executive director of the South Columbia County Chamber of Commerce. So I have a lot of hands-on business and networking experience. I'm also a former employee of the Columbia Pacific Food Bank. So I've had quite a bit of community experience. On a more personal note, I'm a mama bear to 3 boys who are 13 and 15-year-old. My first child is going into high school in the fall in a few weeks, and also turning 15 in a few weeks. And so my mama bear heart's like, oh, my babies are growing up. Uh, Fun fact about me, as I mentioned, I'm from Jamaica. We love track and field in Jamaica. We live and breathe it. My aunt ran in the Olympics for Jamaica. So next month, my sisters and I are headed to Japan to attend the World Championship events and cheer Jamaica on. So if you ever see me in person over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to change up my hair and have some green and gold in it as well, too. So a little bit about me. All right. What we're going to be covering today, as Sierra mentioned, this is going to be pretty fast paced. I was very excited, and so I created a lot of content. And I just want to acknowledge and appreciate that we probably will not get through everything today, or if we do, it's going to be at an accelerated rate. You will all get a copy of the slide deck. If you RSVP through Eventbrite, you will get a copy of the slide deck. If you did not, please reach out to Sierra afterwards to make sure that you get a copy. Everything that you're going to learn here, you're going to have access to. So we are going to be diving into talking about AI, demystifying AI, what it is and what it isn't, going over some tools, what would be the right AI tool for your toolkit, depending on what your needs are. I'm going to spend quite a bit of time talking about customizing AI to your brand voice, because a lot of the things that we're hearing is that, oh, it's robotic, it doesn't sound like me. We're going to do a deep dive into customizing AI to sound like you. I'm going to give some scenarios of some real world applications. In the morning class, I did both a retail and a service-based business. We're going to focus on the service-based business today, but you're going to get the full slide deck. So you may not see the service business, you may not see the retail business scenario in this class, but you will get the full slide deck with both scenarios. So that way you can see what that may look like. I'm hoping that we have some time for some hands-on practice to create something together. If not, I will demonstrate, but you're going to walk away knowing how to do more hands-on stuff. We'll talk about ethics and best practices and kind of some future proofing and what is coming down the pipeline. So again, a lot to cover. We're going to get through it. Sierra is going to be my timer, my timekeeper, because I just love this so much. I just may dive in and forget that we only have an hour to cover today's materials. So thank you all for being here. So this is from this morning, Wi-Fi, y'all are on the Wi-Fi, so we don't need to worry about this. Class expectations. There's no such thing as a dumb question. So if you have a question, AI is a relatively new technology. Please ask all the questions. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm a big proponent of leaning in with curiosity as opposed to backing away with fear. So please ask questions, have fun, and take care of your needs. This is a lot of content. If you need to step away to use the bathroom, eat some food, tend to a young child, if that's your scenario, or take a deep breath, please take care of yourself. No judgment. Okay, so real quick, I would love if people could pop in the chat, and Sierra, if you could monitor this for me. Has anybody here tried AI in their business? And if so, what was your experience? Real quick. And also, I'd love to hear, what are you hoping to learn from today's class? So if y'all could pop that in the chat, or if you feel comfortable, please unmute yourself and share. It is a lot of fun to play with it. Yes, hello.
Hello, I'm Cesar. Very nice to see you again.
Yes, you too. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, I try AI in my business, mostly for doing like estimating and responding to clients, trying to, I guess, trying to understand more about AI, but sometimes it's kind of hard to deal with clients, and I don't have the right answer to respond, and I just ask AI how to respond, kind of to continue the negotiations about some type of estimating. Yeah.
Wonderful. Perfect. That is a perfect use of AI. And I hear you on not knowing how to respond to customers. And that is definitely something that AI can assist with. And once we get into kind of the brand voicing and customizing section, depending on your business, AI can help you to be even more of a powerful assistant in doing that. Thank you so much for sharing. Sierra, could you share what's kind of happening in the chat so that way I can kind of see what's going on?
Yes. So one David mentioned using AI to write emails responses for customers, which I think is good. Sometimes we can get that like emotional email and AI can calm it down.
AI can take the emotion out of the conversation while also maintaining our authentic brand voice. Yes. What else?
So just starting to use it. Susanna shared using it for emails and Facebook ads and auto messenger.
Awesome. Perfect. Wonderful. Sounds like y'all are in the right place.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Excellent. Okay.
Two more really quick.
Yes.
Rhea mentioned she's a ghostwriter as one of her businesses and uses AI to help come up with characters and places and doing research for her stories.
Oh, that is so freaking cool. Oh my gosh. Awesome. Thank you for being here. I love that.
Yes. And then Bonnie said uses it to write product descriptions. It also does a pretty good job on that and edit her voice, but saves her a lot of time overall.
Wonderful, fantastic. You all are using it exactly how it is meant to be used. And it sounds like you're in the right place. Well, I hope that you take away something from this class today. I think you will, but I never like to make assumptions. Wonderful. Thank you all so much. Okay. So what is AI? You all are using it, so I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but what I really want to emphasize is think of AI as like a smart assistant and or hiring a specialist for your small business, right? Because one of the things about either running a business or being, even if you're a nonprofit, as we talked about in the morning class, is still a business. It just works a little bit differently. But think about all the things and functions that you need to do in your business, and AI can really help to be a smart assistant, because as business owners, we wear multiple hats. We are the face of the organization. We're also the chief marketing officer, the chief operating officer, the chief financial officer. We're the website maintenance person. We're the customer service representative. We're playing all of these roles. I have a card deck behind me called 57 Hats that literally breaks out 57 different roles that an organization could have, right? And so AI can help to take some of the burden off of the day-to-day activities that we need to do as business owners to both work on our business and work in the business. The problem that we have is that we can often get bogged down working in the business. So think of like your day-to-day, like answering customer emails and things like that, all of which is important, but you also want to be able to work on your business, to market, to grow, to expand, and to, make time for new projects. And so AI can really help you with that. So that's why I want to kick off the introduction. So simple analogy, AI is like building your dream team of specialists. And so I heard a few different things. I heard that someone is a ghostwriter. I heard that someone is using it for product descriptions, helping to write Facebook ads, knowing how to answer customer emails. We had somebody in our morning class that is a travel agent, somebody who's a watercolor artist, people that are, just getting started. So there's so many different things that you can use it for, which is what we'll talk about that as well too. Just like if you were to hire an intern or an assistant or a specialist, you need to give them clear instructions to perform well. And I want to highlight that because we're going to be spending a lot of time today learning how to give it clear instructions on how it can really perform in the way that you want it to. Just like an intern or an assistant, you would oversee their work. Same thing with AI. AI is like an assistant or a professional that works 24/7 and never gets tired. It gets better over time with practice and feedback, just as if you were training someone in your business to understand how to operate your business. They get better over time with more practice and more feedback. And each specialist, AKA tool, has their own level of expertise. So just like hiring for your business, there's things you need to know. What are the jobs that need to be done? Do you want to use AI for marketing? Do you want to use it for customer service? Like we talked about answering emails. Do we want to use it for operations? What type of specialist do I want? One of the great things that AI can do is you can tell it to act as if you are a writer for my business, act as if you are a customer service agent who is skilled in answering difficult customer emails based off of my brand voice, etc. Please help me to da 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 da. So you can customize it to that level. You can ask it to do research, so on and so forth. What's your budget if you're hiring somebody? We're going to talk about free versus premium tools and go over that a little bit. And then how do I manage them effectively? So AKA, how do I understand my brand voice and what are the instructions that I'm giving them? And are the instructions that I'm giving the tool actually in alignment with what it is that I need? So the key to success, this is really about you. You're the business owner and you are hiring AI as part of your specialist team. You're the one setting the standard, the voice, the vision, the mission. You are providing the vision and the brand voice. And I really want to emphasize this last part. AI, there's a lot of concern. Oh, AI is going to replace me. AI is not replacing your expertise. You are already the expert. You've got years of knowledge and wisdom and experience already baked into your DNA. AI is just simply helping helping you to enhance that, because a lot of us are really good at our craft, right? Like a lot of us are good at like landscaping, ghostwriting, like the craft that we're working on for business. We're really honed in on that. But sometimes as business owners, the business of business, and so the marketing, the customer service, all the operational things that go along, the admin side of running a business, we're not necessarily so great at that. So we need to hire somebody, but we have to, before we hire somebody, we have to understand what we need. AI can help to just like you would hire a marketing assistant to help amplify your business. The marketing assistant is not you as the business owner. They are helping you as a specialist to market your business. That is exactly what AI is doing. AI is helping you to amplify your expertise, not replacing it. So types of AI for small business. There are a lot of different AI tools out there. For the purpose of this class and this particular conversation, rural businesses in Columbia County, we're going to focus on, I'm going to go over 3 types, and then we're going to be focusing on one specific time. So types of AI for your small business. The first one, which is what we're going to be focusing on today, is generative AI. So generative AI is your creative marketing assistant or your creative business assistant. It creates new content, text, images, email, everything that I heard everybody say on the call, ghostwriting, customer service, emails, etc. That's exactly it. So an example, excuse me, write 10 different ways to promote your weekend special, or give me 10 different prompts to, if I'm ghostwriting for ABC person, give me 10 different prompts based off of this. Or you can also use it to create custom images. I'm hoping that we will have time. We did not in the morning class for me to show you how to create a prompt to create an image that is in the likeness of your brand voice. Tools, we're all familiar with ChatGTP. There's some other ones called Claude, Grok, and Jasper. I use Claude and ChatGTP quite a bit. Images, DALL-E, Canva AI, and Midjourney, those are all built into ChatGTP. And there's other tools like if you're doing heavy research and need to do a lot of citations, Perplexity would probably be the best fit. And then we're going to go over the different budget options as well too. Conversational AI, which we are already familiar with, it's already happening. Think about like when you have a Facebook page and you want to set up an automated messenger on your Facebook Messenger page for your business. That's conversational AI. So the chatbots that have already been around for a few years. I remember when those first came out, that was a big deal. Also, if you have ever gone to a website and had a question and there's a digital agent that says, "Hi, I'm the assistant for this website. What questions do you have?" That is conversational AI. So that's already happening. And then budget options range from free. And then if you want to get more advanced, you can pay anywhere from $10 to $30 a month for advanced chat features on your website and within your social media, depending on what your objectives are. Automation AI, this is really more on the operations side. And so the example that I gave this morning, let's say that you are, have a newsletter. Your goal is to generate leads to add people to your newsletter so that you can let them know about your products, your sales, your services, any upcoming events. One of the things that you can do with automation AI, so for example, if you use MailChimp for your email newsletter, you can set up a automated welcome sequence to say, "Hey, welcome to my business. This is who we are. This is what we're about," and give kind of like a warm introduction, just as if you were meeting somebody for the first time. You're like, "Hey, we really click. I want to get to know you more." You would nurture that relationship with like regular check-ins, like phone calls, texts, meeting. This is the same thing, but kind of more on the operations side. Or let's say that you're a consultant and a part of your business is scheduling people on a regular basis. Rather than getting on the phone with them or going back and forth with 10 different emails to figure out a good time, you could set up something like Calendly, where you can book a day and a time to talk with that person, and Calendly can set up an automation sequence where it sends them the email confirmation 1 week in advance, 2 weeks in advance, so 1 day before. It puts it on the calendar, confirms if you need to reschedule. So Calendly does all of that. And so as opposed to y'all going back and forth. And so automation AI has already been around for a number of years. And so those are kind of the 3 different types of AI specifically for businesses. For the purpose of this class, we will be focusing on generative AI, so content creation and also just kind of operation flow and things of that nature. Mostly marketing, but AI can be used for other things as well too. Okay, so let's talk about some myth busting. Anybody recognize that Nokia phone? Did anybody have a Nokia phone like that back in the day? I did. Oh, Nokia was such a good brand. There was so much potential, but they didn't evolve. Anyway, So let's just do some quick myth busting. So one of the biggest myths that I have been hearing, and if you have heard any other myths that you don't see on here, please feel free to enter them into the chat and Sierra can kind of monitor and we can have a conversation. So I've heard AI will replace me. And my argument to that is AI cannot replace human judgment. As I said before, you are the expert. AI is enhancing your expertise. It's too complicated. It is as easy as texting. You can literally download ChatGTP on your phone as an app, and you can do AI prompting and work with AI right on your phone, just as you would send a text message to your friend or your bestie. Other myth is only for tech companies. Nobody here that's on this call is a tech company. We've got business owners, one-time business owners, we've got we have one company business owners here. We've got ghostwriters, we've got a business owner. This morning we had people from a nonprofit organization, community members, that were looking to use it for all sorts of, so we didn't talk to any tech companies this morning, and everybody could benefit from AI. AI content is robotic. It is, however, if you train it to speak in your voice, it can genuinely and authentically sound like you. And we're going to be diving into that today. It is expensive. How much would you pay a virtual assistant? We're going to do like a kind of a cost thing over time, as far as like how technology has decreased in pricing over time, and really talk about the value of using AI in your business. AI can make mistakes, facts, or as my kids say, bet. It is true. So that's why we want to bring in the authenticity by verifying what AI says and does. We had a great conversation. Oh, I see y'all talking about Copilot. I don't use Copilot. I'm like, I am not a big Microsoft person, so I don't use Copilot. But we had a really good conversation in our morning class. One of the women in the class, Becky, she's a friend of mine. She's a travel agent, and she was telling me that she prompted AI to help her to create a travel guide for somebody going to this particular destination, to recommend like local restaurants and stay. She had to go back and check it because the restaurant that AI recommended was actually no longer open for business. So even though AI gave her what she wanted, she still had to fact check and verify. So that's why it's just like if you were to ask an assistant to do that, before you give that information to a customer and everything like that, you ought to make sure that the information that you're giving is accurate. And so a human eye needs to come into play. So that's just some quick myth busting. I see some stuff going off in the chat. Sierra, can you jump in and tell me what's going on in the chat? That way I can make sure that we're keeping engagement.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit about Copilot. I think it would be good to kind of talk about that more when we cover the slide with all the different kinds of programs. And it sounds like David's using it, so maybe we can ask David to chime in a little bit on it.
Wonderful. I love it. Thank you for that. I just want to say I am learning along with you all. I've been using AI for a couple of years, and so somebody may ask a question, I may not know the answer, and I'm definitely happy to learn from the class as well too. So this is a learning experience for all of us. So I just want to say that it's I did not cover Copilot, but if there's someone here that knows about it, I would love to hear more about how you're using Copilot. All right. Real quick travel down the time machine, so this is the question that I asked in the morning class, just kind of talking about the evolution of technology. In the 90s, people were using yellow pages to advertise their business. In the early 2000s, websites were brand new. When Facebook first became public in 2007, a lot of people didn't really take it seriously as a way to market their business. So just kind of a nod to how things have evolved over time. Again, just to kind of reiterate that point, whenever new technology comes out, there is always resistance, which is natural, it is normal, it is valid, because the human brain is wired for safety and survival and not change. And so it takes us a while to adapt, but the early adapters are always the ones that are staying ahead of the curve. In 1990s, the internet wasn't just a fad. 2000s, I don't need a website. 2010s, oh, I don't need to be on social media. 2020s, oh, I don't need to use AI, it's too complicated, it's going to take away my job. So we've been down this road before. Just a real quick kind of perspective. In 1995, business owners would pay on average $500 a month, which is $1,074 in today's dollars, to advertise their business on Facebook. I asked a few people in the morning class, if I were to come to you and tell you that you as a watercolor artist had to pay $1,074 a month to market your business, how would you respond to me? And they're basically like, no, I'll consider. They were really nice. I mean, they were like, no, we can't do that. Exactly. Bonnie's like, bye-bye. See, that's the sass I was looking for this morning. I'm like, y'all being too nice. And so, but yeah, they were like, no, I mean, yeah, no, we can't afford that. Like, I mean, no business owner, especially in the beginning stages of their business, can afford to pay $1,000 a month for advertising like that or marketing. That is not sustainable. But that's what business owners were doing back in 1995. 2005, but people were paying $200 a month to use a website because website technology was so new. Now you're paying $200 a year for a website. Social media marketing. So we talked about this in the morning. So Sierra does a lot of her Facebook ads to advertise classes like these. And on average, she spent about $30 in a month. And correct me if I'm wrong, Sierra, to advertise this class. And so, that's still pretty much on track. Now we're in 2025 and we have AI powered marketing, which has a much broader reach. So think about this. In 1995, business owners were paying $500 or the equivalent of 1,000 and change dollars in today's dollars to just advertise in their local area. That didn't even cover other states or the country or the world. And now in 2025, 30 years later, although in my millennial mind, 1995 was 10 years ago. I know the math is not mathing, but bear with me. All of us millennials are like, what do you mean? That was only 10 years ago. Anyway, but in 2025, we have the option to pay $20 a month because that's about on average how much the AI tools that I'm going to be talking about cost to reach potentially, highly personalized content to reach people at a more global scale. I did use AI to put together this presentation with combination of my knowledge that I've been learning over the past decade. But I said, hey, predict to me, what do you think is going to happen in 2035? What's going to happen 10 years from now? So the prediction is we're going to be having business agents. We're paying $5 a month to automate a lot of our marketing and operations. Now, if y'all are still around in 10 years and you see me, you can fact check me on whether this actually happens or not. But just based off of how much pricing has gone down by 10 times over the years because the technology gets easier and faster to implement and adapt. So the cost to implement the technology goes down. So I wanted to just kind of like highlight that as well too, just to kind of continue with the debunking, but also let's look at the cost of using technology.
Chrissy, really quick.
Yeah.
David actually had a great question in the chat that maybe we can integrate into the presentation. Yeah. He said that he uses a Wix website right now and they has a new AI marketing agent, which could be really helpful. He would really like to learn more about like AI and how it can help him with his SEO and tags. So
okay. Awesome. I feel like the brand voice section would really incorporate into that. I want to be mindful of time. It's already 6:30, so let me kind of go ahead and kind of jump forward. So real quick overview. So these are the current tools that are out there. There are a lot more tools. For the purpose of this class in small business, I wanted to kind of make it more simple and just kind of have you all be aware of some of the tools that are out there for generative AI for content creation. ChatGTP, which we all know and are familiar with, and general writing, brainstorming, content creation. You can see the cost. One of the unique things about ChatGTP is that it has voice conversation, so voice prompting that can be integrated as well too. So for those that are more audio learners and processors, Claude, which is what I use in work. I use Claude because it's more complex and there are multiple features that Claude has. I do a lot of heavy content creation and writing and grant writing, in addition to our newsletters and kind of like operational SOPs and things of that nature. So I like Claude a little bit more better than ChatGTP for kind of like more complex writing. But for social media, I actually prefer ChatGTP. Gemini is built into Google and Google Workspace. That's really good for heavy research. If you are doing heavy research that requires citation and sources, like if you're writing a book or a dissertation or anything that requires that, Perplexity is a really good one. Of course, Canva, which we all know and love, the AI that's built into that, that's really more for visual content, social media. Real quick, I want to pause here. We had a really good conversation about, can I take all of this stuff, the customization of my voice, and put it into Canva? And Sierra brought up a really good point, which I agree with. I feel like Canva is great for kind of the finished product, if you will, and really integrating like your brand colors, your fonts, your logo, your imagery. You can upload a PDF that has your brand voice into the branding section of Canva, so that way it can help it. But I would actually use Chat GTP or the features built, the GPTs built into Chat GTP to get your image creation going, and then have Canva kind of like polish it off, or use that for like flyers and things of that nature. Grok, which is by SpaceX. It integrates with Twitter or X or whatever it's called these days. A little bit cheaper, pretty easy to use. It focuses more on current events and humor, but I have heard some people kind of play around with it to build code and that kind of stuff. I am not as familiar with Grok. My sister's played around with it, but she's a data scientist and, you know, is a mathematician, so it's kind of more her jam. And then Jasper. Jasper is really for bigger marketing agencies. I would not start off with Jasper if you're just starting out, because it's not really easy to, the learning curve is higher, and it's kind of like for people that are doing marketing content at scale. Real quick about Copilot. So again, I am not familiar with this tool. I know it's built into Microsoft. David, if you would be willing to unmute yourself and share how you're using Copilot, I would love to hear. And I think we would love to hear as well too, if you're willing. And if not, no worries.
Hello.
Hi.
So, yeah, I've been using Microsoft most of my life, I guess. But yeah, the Copilots come in handy, but I think it gets things wrong. You know, when I ask it things, it can do simple tasks, but I am interested in maybe using a one of these other AI tools, just because it was nice to play around with and kind of get, you know, first steps into AI. But yeah, I think I'm gonna try this Gemini on my phone. I didn't realize that was AI on my phone, so I'm
Yeah.
gonna try it. But I wouldn't I would take Chrissy's uh advice, everyone, and use one of these that she has on here instead of Copilot. Let's do
Awesome.
that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing and for your input. Yeah, it came up in our class today. And again, I'm not as familiar with it, but I found that for really deep, what I like about, thank you so much, David. What I like about these apps like Claude and Chat GTP is that you can really customize it to speak like you, which I'm going to give a demo of that as well too. Thank you, David. So we've already kind of covered this, but everybody pretty much said what was here. Like, the possibilities of what you can use AI for are endless. And so product descriptions, answering customer emails, ghostwriting, you know, just starting out, social media posts. Again, I use it for grant writing, business operations, employee handbooks, business planning. Like, the possibilities are endless. If it's something that requires content creation of some kind, AI can do it. A rule of thumb, if there is something that you do in your business on a regular basis, like you do it repeatedly, this is where AI can really help it to streamline your process and just kind of like automate it a little bit and make it easier so that you're not, I'm a big believer in working smarter and not harder. And that's a big part of why I love to use AI. Okay, so real quick, I'm going to do a demo here of ChatGTP and Claude. So let me go over here. Hang on here, let's clear this. Okay. So this is my Chat GTP. I have the paid version, which is $20 a month, and it's worth it to me. And so just to bear in mind that what I'm about to show you, if you have the free version, you probably won't be able to do everything that I'm doing. So real quick, you log in, you set up an account. So if you click here under your name and the icon, I'm going to go into customize Chat GTP. So one of the things that you can do is you can customize ChatGTP to sound like you. A question that was brought up in our morning class that was really good is, should I do this for me or for my business? Like, if you're using it for your business or if you're working for somebody and using it in their business. And my answer was both, because the way that I talk about the Columbia Economic Team in my voice is very different than how Sierra, my coworker, talks about the Columbia Economic Team. We both work for the same organization, but our personalities and how we talk and how we express ourselves are very different. And so if I were to use Sierra's guidance, it wouldn't sound like me. And if she were to use, you know, my voice, it would not sound like her. So this is really helping to have you be authentic to your brand voice. Anywho, so you can tell ChatGPT what to call you, tell them what you do. what is your personality? So there's a few different options here. There's the listener, there's the nerd, there's the default, which is very cheerful and adaptive. That was a little bit too cheerful for me. So I'm like, no, let's do more of a listener, because that's kind of more of who I am anyway. If you're really cynical and sarcastic, you can pop that in there. You can also do efficient and blunt. I really would not recommend this unless that's really how you are. But I find that for business in Columbia County, we're so warm, we're so, we're very community centered. We like to have connection. To me, robot is the opposite of that, but also do you. And so you can choose kind of the default one. We cannot change these, but I'll show you where you can change it. What traits should ChatGTP have? Like, how did I populate this? And so down here, you see some different options that they have. They've got chatty, witty, straight shooting, etc. If you're like, oh, I don't know, this doesn't really sound like me, you can click this little arrow here and it will give you some different options, and you can keep kind of playing around with it until it gives you more. It keeps coming up with that because this is really more of my style. And so I have put in, I like to use an encouraging tone, quick and clever humor when appropriate, tell it like it is, use a business casual yet professional tone. I don't have corporate or anything like that because that is not my style. Anything, and then I also have down here, anything else ChatGTP should know about you. So I have, these are my values. That's what's important to me. I've told them that, I'm a Black woman from Jamaica living in the United States. And so please consider cultural perspectives when talking in my authentic brand voice. I love astrology. So I put, I'm a Virgo, I like a little bit of dark humor and snark and sass. And so this is me. But what I want to show you all is this is how you can customize ChatGTP to really sound more like you, in addition to creating content. So imagine if we were building a structure, this is the cement, this is the foundation. And so you can play around with this until you've got something that really reflects who you are as an individual. Then of course, when you're done, you can save that. If you want to disable it for new chats, so you can put that in here, but if like, no, I need to create something, I don't want to kind of exclude this for the time being, you can disable that. And then you click on that to bring it back. So I'm going to exit out of this because I didn't do anything. So that's one thing. The other thing that I want to show you is, let's say that, you created it to kind of sound like you, but you have a business or something that you want to work on. Over here, there's this wonderful option where you can actually create folders if you're doing something over and over again. And so let's say, for example, let me go into my SBRC marketing folder. So for work, I have a whole folder of chats that I have built up over time. And in the folder, you can put instructions and you can put files. So in the instruction field, I put that this project is focused on creating engaging and resourceful marketing communications to promote the Columbia County RC services. This is the type of content that we post about. We do a munch and learn, we do a newsletter, a director's report, client quotes, promoting local business. Here's an example of the munch and learn series that we offer. Here's the link to the Eventbrite. Here is our mission. Again, I need to update this because we're no longer with the SBDC network, as Sierra mentioned. So I need to update that. I put link to all of our social media pages, our value proposition, our target audience, or voice characteristics, content examples. And so I've really built this up so that way AI understands when I'm building content in this particular project folder, they need to take all of this into consideration. So it is all there. So you can really go deep. I like to go above and beyond. So you can do that right there for the instructions. Like really, and I'm going to show you all how to build out your brand voice so that way you can plop those into the instruction folder right here.
Really?
Under five. Yes. Yes.
Actually, you're about to touch on it. The files feature, Bonnie was mentioning that she sometimes uses it to like kind of recreate her art and images. And
Yes.
this file tool is like just another way that you could like, if you wanted to like have AI learn off of your art style or brand or any other files you upload in here.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so in the file folder, I've got, again, this needs to be updated because we are no longer the SBDC, we are the SBRC. So I need to update that, but bearing in mind. So, and if you want to take something out, like you can just hit the trash button, it's gone. So I'll take that out. So I've included some images from past classes that we've done, like our past Munch and Learns, or the logo. I included things like our community impact report. So things that will help AI to understand, what does this organization do? You've noticed that one of the files that I have on here is the Oregon SBDC network brand guides. And so again, I need to delete that and update it with our new brand guides. But you can put your brand guides, your logo, to really help it if you're going to use it for image creation to get a visual representation of your brand. So this is one way that you can really go all the way in and really customize AI to speak like you or speak like a project that you're working on. And projects could be anywhere from SBRC marketing. You know, I have like I have a health and wellness stuff. You know, my son has acne, so I'm like, give me a teen acne skincare routine. You know, or I would say assume that all product research is for a woman in her mid 40s who is Black and this and that. So I really customize it and things of that nature. I've been like, oh, help me with a couch to 5K. So there's really a lot that like you can do. When I was job hunting, I had a whole job search folder that I'm like, okay, here's my resume, here's everything. And it really helped me. It asked me really good questions to help me to put together a resume that was in alignment. Because we all know writing a resume is hard. Ain't nobody want to write a resume. Like, how can you talk about your life on one page? And so when I was actively job hunting, I had a whole job search folder. So that's Chat GTP. Let me hop over to Claude. Claude's my work bestie. You're going to meet Claude. All right, Claude, say hi. So I mentioned I use Claude a lot more for work. And so kind of another example, let me scroll down here. Where is it? So I have a folder called the Columbia Economic Team. Like I mentioned, I do operations. So same thing with Claude, with a Chat GTP, you can create instructions and files. So I have a lot of files in the CET folder. I have like letters of support. I have a strategic plan. I have past board meetings. I have, you know, like operational guidelines. I have our values. I have everything that we've done. I will add more files to help it to understand, you know, how we talk. And so I've used it for, you know, a values discovery session, like, you know, kind of refining our values. I've used it for strategic planning. I've used it for our annual meeting invite invitation. I've used it to help me to create a workflow for HubSpot to better manage our board members. And so, you know, insurance review, I've used it for a lot of things because it has all of the files and understanding of like what it is that, you know, we do. Under the instructions, you know, I wrote that this project is to help to create more streamlined, clear, and effective communication for the Columbia Economic Team. This is a type of content that I will create: board meeting minutes, letters of support, newsletters, social media posts, correspondence with business owners, community, or, you know, so I'm giving it very specific. Here's our mission. Here's what we do. We're a private nonprofit organization, you know, our board of directors, you know, so I basically pulled information from, you know, our mission statement, our website, put it in here so that way whenever we create content. And what's great is that the Claude now understands kind of the CET brand voice. And so every time I say do this, I just, you know, I don't have to, you know, I don't have to, the purpose of doing this is that way I don't have to do this every single time I'm creating content, because I've created a folder, it's already built in. So that's a really great way. So now I've showed you the what it looks like. We're going to get into like, okay, how do I do this? So I want to do a quick temperature check. How are we feeling so far? I know it's 6:45. We still have a lot to go through, but just let me know how y'all are doing. Ciara, help me out. Let me know how people are doing in the chat.
Bonnie said this is great, so I think we're doing good.
I think we're doing good. Okay, real quick, how to train AI in your brand voice. So just real quick recap, we taught this in the advanced social media marketing class, how to build a strong brand. Not going to go over this too much, but as you're building your brand, take this into consideration. We talked a lot about brand archetypes in past classes, including one from last month. So if you can understand your brand archetype, that will also help you to be able to build your brand voice. How to make AI sound like you. 3 steps. Define who you are. Understand your values, your mission. Yep, you'll all get a copy of the slides, so don't worry about it. If you're like, oh my God, choose what your brand voice characteristics are like. I just showed you that mine is encouraging, witty, a bit snarky, sassy. I love astrology. So my brand voice is going to sound very different than yours. So you have to figure out what that is. I will give some examples and identify your target audience. The number one reason that people fail in marketing is they're like, oh, everyone's my audience. No. We're gonna unlearn that. Know who you're talking to, because then your marketing will be more effective. Your mission, why does your business or your organization exist? Like, you know, NASA's vision is to put a man on the moon. simple, straightforward, to the point. So your mission, the vision is the what, the mission is the how. But why does your organization exist? CET exists because we love to help business owners. You know, we want to help promote, retain, and attract business to Columbia County to like raise the economic base so that, you know, less people leave the county and stay here and stay local. That's the why behind everything that we do. You know, why do your values matter? I talked about this in my marketing 101 class that I taught way back in March. So real quick, but our values are important because they inform our actions, our behaviors, or decisions. You are all here spending your Thursday evening with Sierra and I because you value learning and you're curious. And that has informed your decision to make this class a priority. So that's how important values are. It helps you to say yes to certain things and no to other things. So thank you all for being here because we have a shared love of learning and curiosity. So I'm with my people. Again, real quick, questions to ask yourself. What beliefs do you hold near and dear to your heart? How do you make decisions? You know, what do you refuse to compromise on? Why did you start your business? These are really good questions to ask yourself. If you're like, I don't know what my values are, you probably do. It's in there, but you just got to ask the right questions to bring them to the surface. Brand voice characteristics. So you all are going to get a copy of the slide deck, and I think Sierra, I don't know if they got a copy of. I sent a worksheet out that kind of has all of this printed down. But your brand voice: are you community focused? Are you neighborly? What is your conversation or communication style? Are you welcoming? Are you more practical? You know, do you have rural business values? Do you want people to know that you're hardworking? Are you reliable? Are you traditional? Are you resourceful? What's your emotional tone? Are you more humble? Are you proud? Are you cheerful? You know, what is your service approach? Are you more personable? Are you flexible? Do you cater your services to individual needs? Are you responsive? Are you considerate? You know, do you like to educate your folks? And so there's a lot of different options that you have. And again, we're going to go through some real world examples to kind of put this more into context for you all. Again, who are you talking to? What's the demographic of your people? Are they young Gen Zers that are in their mid-20s? Or are they, you know, kind of like mid-career with like a family and kids and they're busy professionals, or are they retired? Like, you know, who are your people? What do they value? What are their shopping habits? Again, I covered this in my marketing 101 class, so I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but this is something just to kind of consider. Okay, we already did a demo of how to customize your chat GTP. I should have pushed that slide back earlier. So again, just to recap, go in, customize ChatGPT, put in your personality, and then you can create a project folder and kind of go from there. Okay, let's.
Chrissy, Bonnie's asking a question of how to use, you know, AI from the ground up. Bonnie, could you maybe chime in to share a little bit more about your question for us to answer it?
Yeah.
If you're able to unmute.
Sorry, I unplugged myself while I was listening to you. So, what I'm curious about, you know, like if we don't know how to use AI, is there something that, you know, is it able to teach us how to better use it?
In terms of like, I mean, just using like ChatGPT?
Yeah, you know, like, I mean, in the old days, you'd have like a tutorial, like this is how this all works, and then you go and try it. Do they have such things?
Oh, yeah. I mean, so I'm hoping that you can learn something from this class specifically, but there are so many YouTube tutorials out there that can teach you this kind of like the beginning, but I'm hoping that you will learn something specifically from this class. Have you currently used ChatGPT, or you have played around with it before?
Oh yeah, I have, and I'm mixed reviews on how well I thought it was responding to my queries.
Okay.
And that's why it's like, okay, so I'm not asking it correctly.
So I am going to be covering a little bit more about how to do better prompting to have it give better responses. And so I'm hoping that I will cover that. And I'm hoping that when I cover that, that will answer your question.
Okay.
All right, cool. Thank you. I appreciate that. So I want to do a scenario real quick of like Mike's a landscaping business, just a service-based business. So Mike's landscaping, he serves Columbia County. His mission, he wants to transform properties into beautiful, sustainable outdoor spaces. So that's his mission right there. His values: reliability, local knowledge, honest work, environmental respect, problem solving, and long-term relationships. So those are things that are important to Mike. And that's how, and these values will inform how he does business. And so if he shows up, if he says Tuesday at 8, we're not going to call and say, oh, we're running 15 minutes behind. We're going to show up at 8 o'clock. He's got local knowledge. He believes in fair pricing. He believes in sustainable practices. He believes in problem solving. You know, he uses the same crew year after year and builds long-term relationships. And so that's kind of his USP, his differentiator for his business. Target audience. So he's talking to busy professionals that don't have time to work on their landscaping. They're probably a dual income household. They're not DIYers. He's talking to retirees who want to enjoy their yard and maybe new homeowners needing help with landscaping and like learning maintenance. He also has a secondary audience. He's talking to business owners that have commercial maintenance space, probably property managers that have multiple sites, and real estate agents that are preparing homes for sale. So he's got two different audiences that he can talk to, and he can cater his AI to talk to those specific audiences depending on what his business and marketing goals are. Voice characteristics: straightforward, educational, practical, weather conscious, season-minded. Personality traits: hardworking, knowledgeable, professional, friendly, confident, traditional, but also open to new ideas. And when we're going somewhere with this, so stay with me. So Mike's primary archetype is the brand archetype is the hero. Again, we covered that last month and we had a brief picture of that, but the hero is all about courage and inspiration, and their mission is to make the world a better place. So think of like Nike as a brand. Their archetype is the hero. So how does this show up for Mike? Shows up through bravery, competent, determined, protective, transformation, and language that Mike would use because of he's the hero archetype. But we'll tackle that mess. Don't worry, we've got this covered. We've got your back. Your yard's going to be the best on the block, and we're here to save your weekend. The secondary archetype for Mike's landscaping is going to be the sage. The sage is all about wisdom, truth, knowledge. They love to share their knowledge with the world. And so one of Mike's core values is educating people. And so even though he is the expert, he values sharing his expertise with homeowners so that way they can know how to maintain their yard themselves. He's got 30 years of knowledge. He believes in teaching homeowners how to understand their landscape. He knows what works in Columbia County, and he can offer guidance. A little bit more about the secondary brand archetype. So with all of that, Mike knows his mission. He understands his values. He knows who he's talking to. He knows his brand voice characteristics. He knows his brand archetypes. So Mike can take all of that and build a custom AI prompt to help him with content. So Bonnie, you're asking, well, how am I using it better? This is how. So you can say, I'm a landscaping business. I've been around in Columbia County for 30 years. My tone is confident, helpful, practical, and straightforward. My values are this. The customers that I serve are busy homeowners. We avoid things like saying Latin plant names. We don't do pushy sales tactics. It is really important to tell AI what we don't do or the type of language that we avoid. So that way you can take the robot out of AI and inject your personality into AI. So telling it what we don't do will help to get more clarity around what type of content AI should create for you. You want to tell it, this is what we always do. These are the habits, traits, and characteristics of our brand. We show up on time. We offer solutions. We respect budgets. We explain our work. This is our brand archetype, and this is how this factors into our content that we create. When writing for us, use words like we and your to create a sense of partnership and community. Reference local weather and seasons. Mention specific Columbia County areas when relevant. Focus on solving problems. An example of our voice. Every yard has potential, even that trouble spot you've been fighting for years. We've been solving Columbia County landscape problems or challenges, since 1993, and we haven't met a yard that we couldn't improve. Very important to give an example of how you want to sound, so that way AI can help to replicate your content. So again, things to avoid. We don't talk about technical Latin plants name. We don't say things like that's not our problem. We don't say things that we're too busy for small jobs, and we don't use pushy upselling language. And so this is what we would say instead. Let's get your yard ready for summer. Those rhododendrons will love this spot. We'll have this cleaned up before the weekend, so on and so forth. So this is a lot, but this is how detailed, remember earlier when I talked about giving clear instructions to AI to help you to create the content that you want? This is what I'm talking about. So that's a lot of information, but you can take all of this information. Like I would if you got the AI worksheet that I sent out, you can input all of this into a Google Doc and then take that information about who you are, your mission, your values, your brand voice, your brand archetype, examples of how we talk about our business, examples of what we say and what we don't say. You can put all of that into a Google Doc. And then when you use ChatGPT, put it into the instructions. So that way it understands exactly the type of brand voice that you want to create. So it can create social media posts, contents, etc., so on and so forth for you in a way that sounds authentic to you. I want to pause here for a minute because that was a lot of information that I threw at you. How are we feeling? What questions do you have? Is this helping? Is this confusing? I want to kind of get a temperature check of the room. Sierra, if you could help me out, or if anybody wants to unmute themselves or share anything. Okay, Bonnie's super helpful. Okay, awesome, makes sense. Wonderful, thank you.
I'll just add one more thing too. This is great around brand voice. Also, if you have business goals, like I want to hit this kind of sales, I want to be at this place in this many years, like that's other stuff you can add into the training.
Yeah.
And then if you're trying to use it operationally to like help you with cash flow or budgeting or creating goals or strategic plans, like that's also other kinds of information to help prompt it.
100%, absolutely. A little bit more on Mike, because we understand Mike's brand archetype, I was able to use AI to help me to create some visual elements for him. So primary colors, forest green, earth brown, typography, the type of images that he should be using to advertise in his business. And so, that's kind of an example there. So we don't have time for a brand discovery workshop session. However, you'll get a copy of the slides and there's an AI worksheet that I sent it where you can actually work on building out your own brand discovery voice and kind of working on that and refining and tweaking that and putting that into AI. And the more you put it in, the more feedback you get. Be like, no, that's not quite right. We need to take that out. We need to put that back in. So again, your mission, your core values, your target audience, and identifying your brand voice characteristics. I would recommend circle the top 10, cross out 5 that don't fit, and then star your top 3 and kind of like have those available to you. Again, this is built off of like doing a workshop in the class, but we do not have time for that. So I'm going to kind of breeze through. Identify your brand archetype, your primary, your secondary. Again, here's the brand archetype overview. I would definitely check out the sources and like kind of play around with that to help to understand your brand archetype a little bit more. Unique phrases that are specific to you. What are things that you avoid and don't do? What are examples of content that you have created in the past that sounds like you and has yielded results or has worked in or for your business? I would put that in there as well too. Like kind of like when I showed you all with Claude, past examples of letters of support, board meeting minutes, or brand guides and things that we have done that have been effective. You want to put all of that in there to help AI to understand how to talk like you. So just real quick, we don't have time for the live demo, but another framework that I wanted to give you all. So prompting. To get better results from AI, use the CLAIR framework. So give it context. What are we talking about? If you want to create specific content, give the specific output size. Am I creating 150 blog posts on Facebook, or am I creating a 3-paragraph newsletter to send out to my customers? Give an example of past content, tell AI who the audience is for. And just to piggyback off of what Sierra just said, tell it the results that you would like. This is the desired outcome. So for example, if I'm building a business plan and I'm using AI to help me to curate that, my goal is in a year from now, I want to be able to make enough revenue so that I can hire on a part-time employee to help me with my business, or I want to be able to purchase a second location, like whatever your long-term goals are, or even if it's just like, I want to increase my sales by 25% this weekend by using this to help me to create a promotional sale, you can put the desired outcome in there. I'm going to give an example. So again, for Mike's business, let's say that he has his landscaping business and the weather has caused appointments to be canceled. So he would like to ask AI, can you draft a 150-word email to affected customers, letting them know that, hey, we had to reschedule. Give example of the tone, apologetic but professional. I'm talking to homeowners that had scheduled services for landscaping. The result that I want, maintain customer relationship and reschedule without losing business. This is a good practice. Sorry, I know that we're at time and it's 7 o'clock. And so let me know if I need to stop and I'll try and like wrap it up here, but I know there's a lot to cover. Am I good or can I keep going for a little bit?
Let me pause for a moment.
Yeah.
In case, if anybody needs to jump at this time, just a few things we definitely want you to know is our next Munch and Learn class is going to be covering budgeting, so you can find that on Eventbrite. We also have a cool program if you consider yourself an entrepreneur or startup called Co-Starters. That's also like a 2-day boot camp in October and November. You can find that on the Columbia Economic Team website under the Small Business Resource page. So I'd encourage you to point those two things. I'll follow up on an email. And if you also need to hop right now, 2 important tips we haven't covered yet, but are like really essential is first, there's a difference between free and paid AI. So anything you add to a free plan is like open internet, basically think of it like that. AI is using that kind of information to train itself and around the world. So if you put in your like personal information or crucial information about your business that you wouldn't particularly tell your friends or family even, like that's now available for the internet on a free plan. But if you do a paid plan, it's all internal and that information doesn't get shared. So that's an important thing to remember of like what are you putting into AI. The other important thing that was one of the best tips I ever got around AI was using it to have it ask you questions, because sometimes you get stuck and you're like, I don't really know how to like get to this point I'm trying to get to. You can ask AI to help you think through things. And so not only does it have to be a tool that's like spitting out answers for you all the time, but it can get you to start coming up with answers as well. So those are 2 tips. If anyone needs a hop, we'll just keep going though, I think, to finish out the class, Chrissy.
Okay, awesome. Cool. Thank you for that. Absolutely. 100%. So going back to AI. So this is something that I learned when I was kind of learning AI that has been really helpful for me. So anytime I use AI to create anything, I never take the first answer it gives back to me. I always follow up with an additional prompt, which is this right here. Please proofread this text, checking for accuracy, grammatical errors, spelling, punctuation mistakes, or typographical errors of any kind, then edit the text for consistency with my brand voice and natural human language. So this helps to double check it, make sure that it's grammatically correct, make sure that it's accurate and that no misinformation is out there. You can even say, please check this to make sure that it's not copyrighted information. You know, we'll talk about the ethics of AI towards the end. And then if you've done the work of building the foundation of your brand voice and everything that I've just mentioned or taught earlier, then you can verify that it's actually doing what it needs to do. And I put in natural human language so to make it sound less robotic and more like it's actually me talking. So as an example, to kind of pull this all together, prompt 1, in this thread, act as a social media strategist. I run a landscaping business in Columbia County called Mike's Landscaping, and the rain has canceled our appointments. Please help me to draft a 150-word email to affected customers in a voice that is apologetic, sorry, typo right there, but professional, offering rescheduled appointments. Our audience are homeowners with scheduled services. The result from this post should help to maintain customer relationships and reschedule without losing business. So I would put that in. It's going to spit out whatever it gives me. Then I would review for accuracy. Please proofread this check for accuracy, grammatical errors, etc., so on and so forth. And then another one that you can do, again, to even just double check it even more, critically assess this text clarity and logic and factual accuracy, evaluate how successfully is this communicating the core message to address whatever it is that the reader is going to be reading. Check for completeness and make sure that no important aspect of the subject has been overlooked, bearing in mind my brand voice, natural human language, and the length and scope of the text. So those are kind of some prompts that you can help to minimize errors, double check them, make sure that you're taking out anything that's robotic and generic and inauthentic, and making sure that you are as much as possible injecting your authentic brand voice and that you're putting out grammatically and factually correct information. And so another example that we gave was for the boutique. I'm going to go ahead and skip past that, just kind of in the interest of time. Okay, so some image prompting. So let's say that if you have already built your foundation, so now we've got our business, talking about our business and what it is that we do, our mission or values. You know, we know who we're talking to. We know our brand voice. We know our primary and secondary archetype. We know what we always do and what we avoid or what we never do. We have examples of our brand voice. Now you can take all of that information to not only create written content like social media posts, responding to emails, blog posts, etc. You can also use this to help you with some SEO keywords. So if you understand all this, you can use it for SEO prompting, SEO keywords like somebody mentioned. You can also use this for image prompting. So using this information, you can generate whatever type of image you want, social media graphic or a logo, you know, or a product mockup in a style that reflects my brand voice and my brand archetypes. The image should feel, this is where you would put your brand voice characteristics here, and whether it's warm and welcoming or adventurous. You can use the colors and fonts and layouts that are in alignment with my brand archetype or that I have previously expressed, and you can provide an example of this many variations or concepts to choose from. So following Mike's landscaping, hang on here, let me skip ahead. So following Mike's landscaping, you know, your creative image generator helped me to design my visuals for my business, Mike's Landscaping. And so I am actually going to do a quick demo here. Let me get out of this. I want to do this in the morning class and I did not have the chance to do so. So I'm going to copy this. So I'm going to take everything that we know about Mike. I'm going to clear this. And then I'm going to do a new chat here. Okay. So this is all about Mike. Let me go back to copy that. And I think I want to highlight something. I think a big mistake that people do is just they go straight to the task without giving the context. And so that's a really big thing, is if you can give it more context and more clear instructions. A lot of people will just go to the task and then say, okay, this is really not giving me what I need. It's because it doesn't understand and it needs a little bit more direction. So let's do this here, pop that in. Okay. Based off of that, let's see what AI gives us. Okay. So it's kind of given an idea of like, okay, this is what we're doing. So the heroic rescue, the seasonal sage, the relationship builder. Okay, so it's asking me if I want me to mock this up and ready to edit Canva templates, and then I'll go ahead and say yes. And then it's gonna do its thing. It's probably gonna take a little bit of time, but this is kind of an example of like how you can do that. And so then it's asking me, okay, which feeds more useful for you right now? Visuals that you can tweak or written copy that's immediately postable. So I'm gonna say visuals that I can tweak. But that's an example of like using AI imagery. So we'll hit that, and it usually takes a little bit of time to kind of like get that going. And as it's building out this brand palette, the layout, fonts, etc., you can take all of that, and if you want to, you can put that into Canva. And so I will say I don't have a logo, so it's gonna ask you more questions to help get clarification. And so if I were Mike's Landscaping and I were using ChatGPT, I would have like gone here under the customize option and build everything in. Because I haven't done that and it's a new thing, it's asking me like a lot more questions. But this is an example just so that it can get really clear about what it is that I want to do. So I'll leave that there for the time being, but that was kind of a demo of how you can use it to help you to kind of start to get an idea of what type of images that you want to create. Real quick here, let's go back in. So just to kind of close things out, let's talk about the future of AI real quick. Sierra, do you want to talk? Can I hand you the mic to kind of talk about this part here for a second?
All right, I'm grabbing the mic. Okay. Yeah, so one thing that was really important to note, that kind of what's coming down the pipeline, and you're already starting to see a little bit of the language of agents and all that. But the newest thing that other tech is working towards is having everyone to have their own personal agent. So, you know, like people that are really rich, they'll have their own shopper that will go out and about and buy all their stuff for them. Well, basically they're making that for like the everyday man. So you'll have like your own shopping agent who you can tell, oh, I've been looking for Birkenstyle type of shoes and I really want a good deal. And I want to purposely buy them in this area, or from businesses with this identity or values. And so all that type of stuff, you could start training your agent to basically go scour the internet and buy things for you. And so it's really important for businesses, particularly ones like service-based businesses, or if you have a product and service that you're hoping that people to discover online, you need to have your keywords, your search engine optimization really ready for this, because otherwise the agents, the AI scouring that's happening isn't going to find you. And so I just want everyone to think through that as you continue to put out your services. Like, say, Bonnie, you have your beautiful art. So having that be findable online so that these AI agents can find it will help your sales. And anybody that's not ready for it, then you're getting missed by these agents. So that'll be coming soon. So you'll probably one of the questions in the morning was basically like, where is this going to live? There's probably going to be like third-party apps and all that type of stuff. But I think the trend is moving towards like Google searches. You could have your own like Google agent, Facebook agents, Instagram agents. Like on Amazon itself, probably is going to have an agent, or you'll have your like shopper agent to help you buy whatever off of Amazon. So that is the future. And so yeah, and to Chrissy's point, that in this morning's class, I think there's a lot of people that like want to spend time with their family and friends and kids, and so they're going to want to start using these agent tools. I personally like to do my own grocery shopping, but once I probably start having kids, like having my own AI agent will be helpful. So just be ready for this to come.
Absolutely, thank you. And I was doing a little bit of troubleshooting with the image prompt, and so if I have time, we'll go back to that here in a second. Okay, so kind of continuing on. Thank you, Sierra, and agreed. I love AI because it gives me my time back. I still have to do the work, but what would normally take me 3 to 4 hours, that time has reduced dramatically because I'm able to use AI as a tool to streamline me, to help me, with work or with anything that I have going on. So that way I get my time back. So real quick, let me hang on here. I want to minimize this and show you all what I was able to do with the imaging. So, okay. So let me just show you how I got here. So this is the image that it gave me based off of the prompts from Mike's landscaping. It's working on the second one right now. So let me back up the truck and show you how did I get here. So I recognize that the regular chat GTP, it was asking me a lot of questions, and I'm like, oh wait, there's a better way to do this. And so if you're playing around with GPT for the chat GTP for the first time, you want to go to GPTs. And then if you click here on DALL-E, that is where the specific image generators live within ChatGPT. So if you have the paid version, all of this is available to you. There's so many different GPTs that you can use for writing, productivity, research, education. Like I barely touched the iceberg and everything like that. And so one of the ones that I really like to use is Image Generator, but I like Image Generator and Image Generator Pro. So if you go here and type in, it popped up for me, Image Generator Pro, a lot of professionals are using that for their image generation. So you would click on that, and then you would take the prompts that I created and put that in there. So I have it bookmarked over here. So I'm going to go back to Image Generator Pro. Where did it go? Here we go. If you're like, where did my chat go? All of your chat histories live over here on the left-hand side. And so I took everything about Mike's landscaping, gave it all the context, the brand, the tone, everything, and I asked it create 3 social media images for me. So here's one example. Here's a second example. Again, you need to fact check because that the text is not correct. Your yard will be the best on THO block. You need to double check it. And then, but you could probably take this and put it into Canva and then tweak it and kind of go from there. So this is an example of image generation for AI. So I wanted to just cover that real quick. It takes a while to create the images. And then from there, you can say, okay, I like this. Let's take out that. Let's I would move the brown part over a smidge so I could see more of the landscaper. I would edit the text. And so you can kind of really start to play around with it from there. Or you can say, nailed it. This is completely wrong. Let's try this again. And then you can give it better instructions. So that's kind of an example of image AI generation. So wanted to put that out there. Okay, let's go back to the presentation. Okay, so we talked about the future of AI. So to kind of wrap up, The key message, technology is coming, AI is here, whether we like it or not, it's here to stay, it's not going anywhere. A lot of companies, both big and small, are already building AI into their organizations and their operations. And so I would say to people, don't back away in fear. Lean in with curiosity, like find out more. You're all here because you're curious about AI and you want to learn more. And I love that. Thank you, because you are going to be part of the change to help to kind of turn the narrative on AI. So continue to learn, to grow, and adapt, because it's coming. As Sierra mentioned, there's AI agents that are coming. And so we need to learn, okay, how can I make this work for me and work with it instead of like fighting or resisting it? Let's close up by talking about the ethics of AI and how do we use AI responsibly. So some green flags, be transparent. So tell customers as much as you can when AI assists your content. I used AI significantly to put this content together, but I also use my knowledge and expertise of understanding business and marketing and brand voice. And I've been playing around with AI for 2 years. I've made a lot of mistakes. And so I'm able to talk about this because I've made mistakes, I've learned, I've grown, I've tweaked, I've tried to test it. I'm using these examples in our organization and for myself personally as well too. So be transparent. Fact check accuracy. I gave you some prompts to talk about how you can double and triple check that what AI is giving you is actually accurate. Let's talk about privacy real quick. And so somebody had a concern, oh, you're putting all this information into AI. I'm telling it about my personality so that it can create content that sounds like me, but I'm not putting personal financial data in there. If you run a business or an organization where you have access to your client's personal financial or personal information, I would not put that into AI. And to Sierra's point, the free version, it's all open. The private version, it's kind of all contained, but I would also be very mindful of like what information you put in there. And if you need to delete things, you certainly can. But if you're using the free version, do not put all of your open information out on the internet for sure. Please don't. If it's authentic, AI helps to make your authentic brand voice even more so. It helps to enhance it. Like maybe you're not the best writer or content creator or the best at responding to emails, but you have the knowledge and the wisdom. AI just helps to bring it out and put it out into the world in a way that makes sense to who it is that you're trying to connect to. You can always prompt AI to verify that the information it's giving you is not copyrighted information, because nobody wants a lawsuit on their hands. And then the human touch, we saw that AI can make mistakes. You as a human have to verify this is actually what you want and verify that it's giving you accurate information. Some red flags to avoid. Obviously, don't use competitor content. You want to talk in your authentic brand voice. Don't make false claims. Impersonating others, again, it's inauthentic. I would not recommend sharing confidential information. Don't sound generic and robotic. Use your brand voice to help make it sound more like you. So those are some ethics that I would just share as well too. And like Sierra said, one of the great things that AI can do is okay, I want to create content, ask AI to ask you some questions. Like if you have writer's block or you're kind of stuck and you're not quite sure. Like for example, we're going to be writing a grant here in the next couple of weeks. I can ask AI to ask me, okay, based off of everything that you know about the Columbia Economic Team or brand voice or mission or values or past work or past grants, the programs that we're doing, can you ask me some questions to kind of help me to think about what we want to write this grant about? And AI can do that for you. So you can use it as a tool to create, but you can also use it as a tool to help you to create and then kind of tweak and refine from there. And so it's a wonderful tool when used well, when used ethically, and when used effectively. So key message, AI is your assistant and a specialist in or a specialist in your business that needs instruction and oversight, but it is not your replacement. You are brilliant, beautiful, and unique, and you cannot be replaced, but AI can help to enhance your beauty, your knowledge, your wisdom, your lived experience, and what you have to contribute to the world. And so it's a powerful sidekick. It is not your replacement. And I want to emphasize that because a lot of people are kind of like, oh, it's going to replace me. It is not. And then the last thing, it's AI is only as smart as the instructions that you give it. Be clear, be specific, feed it your brand's personality so that it sounds like you and not a robot. That cuts through the hype. Don't just give it the task and say, make me a logo. tell it that I'm a landscaper with 30 years of experience, and I appreciate like honesty, trustworthy, and that, I'm the hero, I'm the sage. This is what we say, this is what we don't say. Like tell it your story so that way it can create content that reflects your story and your brand. Don't hand over the wheel. Think of AI as a smart intern who needs direction. It's pretty magical, but it's not a magic genie. So that is my tip. And then like Sierra mentioned, we have the 2 free day boot camp coming up in October and November, an amazing opportunity. If you've ever been like, oh my God, I want to start a business, but where do I start? What do I do? It's a foundational class that will teach you everything from branding and product design to distribution to understanding how to speak about what it is that you do. So I highly recommend looking into that. And then our next class, like Sarah mentioned, is in September, Budgeting for Business, or Columbia County SBRC Director Jason Moon will be talking about or teaching that class. And then last but not least, thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking time out of your Thursday afternoon to be here with us to learn more about AI and validating your value of curiosity. If you have any questions, our information is right here. If you want to schedule a free advising session, please click on that. And if you're like, hey, how do I hear about these classes? Get on our newsletter, email Sierra or myself, and we can get you added on so that you can learn more about these classes that are upcoming. And these are free continuing education classes. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for coming.